Welcome to the Endurance Matters podcast. I'm your host, Justin Metzler. You might know me as BigMetz in the endurance community. Today, I had the pleasure of speaking with a good friend of mine and training partner, Trevor Foley. Up-and-coming dude, really successful so far and very talented. And yeah, we had a great conversation where we dove into a little bit of his background, some of the success he's had so far, what drives him, and had a few laughs along the way as well. So I really enjoyed my time with Trevor, and I hope you do too. So enjoy this episode. Trevor, welcome to the Endurance Matters podcast. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Honored to be the first guest.
The inaugural guest. I'm really excited to do this podcast, and I couldn't think of a better first guest to have. I got my buddy here, T. Foley. Somewhat of a new friend, but a new face on the triathlon scene. And it's good to. I've been really inspired by kind of your journey in triathlon. And, you're motivating me to become a better athlete. So wanted to have you on the podcast. And a little background on Trevor quickly. Trevor, 24 years old.
Yep. Yeah. 24.
Yeah. Previously a collegiate NCAA runner at the University of Florida. 5K PR of 14:03 and 10K PR of 30:46.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct? I mean, that's smoking times. That's moving, man.
Yeah, and 1500 of 3:44. That's probably like my best one.
It's not bad running, man. That's not bad.
All right. That's all right.
And you turned it over to triathlon running as well, becoming a 2-time 70.3 champion and now 9-time 70.3 podium finisher.
Yes, sir.
I had to edit that this week because he went from 8 to 9 after getting third place at 70.3 Chattanooga a couple days ago, and also the owner of and founder of T. Foley Racing.
Yes, sir.
So you're coaching as well. So
yeah, coaching, racing, the whole 9 yards.
Awesome, man. Well, look, I want to start the podcast loose. I want to start it fun. I've got an icebreaker question here to begin things off with, and I'm just going to go for it.
Go for it.
If you had to delete all but 3 apps from your smartphone, which 3 apps would they be? You have to keep 3. You can only keep 3.
I only can keep 3.
Yeah.
Well, so you need Garmin Connect to use Strava, or can I just say Strava?
You can only have 3.
Okay, Strava, because then I don't need to upload my own stuff. I can stalk everyone else. So Strava, YouTube, Instagram. So basically 3 stalking platforms to stalk my competition.
Perfect. So he's going to only exclusively communicate with his fiance via Strava DMs.
Yeah.
No iMessage, no WhatsApp.
Instagram too.
Instagram DMs. Yeah. Perfect. What do you think my 3 are?
Your 3, Strava.
Yeah.
100%.
100%.
I feel like you'd be YouTube as well.
It's up there.
And then probably WhatsApp.
Yeah.
I don't use WhatsApp. I hate using WhatsApp. I just use messages. But I have to use WhatsApp because a lot of people in Europe use it.
That's the international thing. I mean, my wife is international, South African, so I need that WhatsApp to stay in touch. And so you hit it right on the head. Strava for sure. Strava's number 1.
Absolutely.
You can't miss Strava.
No.
I mean, it's just the way to go. If you're an endurance guy, you got to be on there.
Have to.
Yeah. And then mine would be Twitter. I'm actually probably Twitter over YouTube.
Really? Yeah. I had a Twitter. This is actually a really funny, embarrassing story, but I made a Twitter in 8th grade, 7th grade, and I was so cocky as a little middle schooler, just running really. I was the fast kid in school, so I was thought I was hot crap, and so I made a Twitter and I titled it King_Foley, and my Twitter name is still King Foley.
King Foley?
Yeah, King Foley.
Oh my gosh, this guy.
The reason I did that though is because Ed Ches, who ran Oregon, he was King Ches, so I was I'm the next King Ches, so I'm King Foley.
Man.
And then I was stuck with it, and I don't really use Twitter anymore. I use it sometimes to keep up with news and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm King Foley on Twitter.
Oh my gosh, I have to follow King Foley. Yeah. That's
So
where I
bad.
get all my news, so I gotta stay on there. But
TikTok would actually be in my.
Yeah.
TikTok would be up there. I'm a big I don't post on TikTok, but I use TikTok quite a bit.
I'm glad you said that because Jeannie was like, "Oh, you got to keep TikTok. You're a TikTok guy because it's just there's everything on there."
Yeah. Well, also too, Sophie makes fun of me, my fiance, for using TikTok, but I really use it as a news source as well.
Totally.
When the submarine thing sunk and all that kind of stuff. It's you just swipe through and I know what's going on in the world.
Yeah. I just like to go on there and just check out for a minute and just laugh and just watch funny videos. So
I can burn some serious time on it.
Totally. Yeah. We're so focused in training. Sometimes you just need that 15-minute relief. I'm just going to sit here and just watch some cat videos or dog videos for a minute, Well,
and speaking of that too, I actually have 2 YouTube channels. I have my Trevor Foley triathlon YouTube, which I post all my YouTube videos on, but that's my triathlon algorithm. So like I see Lionel Sanders videos, Sam Lawn videos, but then I have like a Trevor Foley, just like I've had it since I've been like in 6th grade, and it's like Fortnite, Xbox, all this kind of this like dumb, like Mr. Beast, like all those kind of videos. But like that's when I'll like watch at night. So I'll just like check out a YouTube and then watch like some Fortnite or Mr. Beast. And like when I'm watching, when I'm eating dinner, that's what I'll watch. So I don't want to mess up my algorithms.
Yeah. Well, you're definitely showing off your age there a little bit. I feel like our 6-year age gap, sometimes like that's funny. We'll get into it later, but you know, we both trained with people of all different ages in the sport. That's one of the beautiful things about endurance sports and triathlon. Like, I feel like there's no age limit. You can be great at it when you're 24. You can be great at it when you're 44. I mean, we saw Matt Hansen, you know, he's almost 40 winning.
Matt Hansen won Chattanooga. Michael Weiss was top 5. He's like 42 plus. I mean, anyone.
You can still keep getting after it, but definitely want to get into a little bit more about your background right off the bat here. So tell me a little bit about kind of your journey in endurance sports growing up. You know, we already spoke a little bit about your NCAA running, but I guess catch me up a little bit on how you got into endurance sports, how you got into running, and kind of how you made it to the NCAA level in running.
Yeah, so I grew up pretty small town outside of like Tampa, Florida. Instantly grew up just playing soccer from the age of like 4 to 12, just like traveling all over the state of Florida playing competitive soccer. Parents probably spent so much money on that. Like we were traveling everywhere every weekend to do these tournaments. And as I started getting older, I realized like, you know, when you do like club sports, like some kid's dad can be the coach sometimes, and like that kid's like probably trash sometimes, and the kid's playing, like the coach's kid is playing all the time. It's like I'm on the bench or like not playing as much, and that like really rubbed me the wrong way. And so like it was in 5th grade, we did a 5K. This was like a fundraiser for like autism awareness, and I ran 20:44 at 5th grade. I don't know how old, 10 years old. Won my age group. Obviously, any 10, 11-year-old is going to love something that they win. So I kind of like sparked the fire for that, and then went to like 6th grade and middle school, and that's when tracks offered like at the county level or the school level, and ended up like hiring just like a local run coach, and ended up running like 5:07 my 6th grade year, which was like one of the fastest times in the country that year for a 6th grader, and I kind of like really fell in love with it, and I love the simplicity of like, you know, like who's good and who's bad. And like I said, I was pretty burnt out from like that team sport mindset of it's super subjective, right? Like if you want to go to college or be a professional, some people might think you're trash and some people might think you're really good. But in swimming or running, it's very easy to tell who's good. So I stuck with running at a very competitive level, starting at the age of 12 in 6th grade, and worked with this coach. His name was Drew for 3 years, and became like addicted to running in middle school, and ended up going to high school. I went to like 3 different high schools. I went to 3 different in-person high schools, one each year of high school. And then I did homeschool my senior year. Just always dealing with like high school coaches, like, you know, it's not their own fault, but sometimes it's just like the math teacher who's like the high school coach. And at that point, Drew had moved away, so I had to start coaching myself. And I'm sure we'll get into that later, but I've been coaching myself since I've been 14 years old. And so we were always just trying to go to different schools where I could basically just coach myself and stuff. And that's how I started running. Ended up winning 5 state titles in high school, and ended up getting a scholarship to run at the University of Florida. That's like very early days of running.
Yeah. No, that's really cool, man. Like I'm interested in hearing. It's cool for me to hear that. Like, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this podcast was like, you know, Trevor and I are buddies, and you know, we ride and we tell stories or whatever. But I didn't, you know, I don't have the opportunity to necessarily ask you that question before. So it's opening my mind up to potentially some more questions about the self-coaching, because like you feel kind of comfortable in that. I guess that's like a decent segue. Like, yeah, I want to circle back ultimately to the NCAA, but I guess we can jump a little bit to that self-coaching while we're on it. You know, you've transitioned from NCAA to triathlon, and I feel like in the time that I've known you, I've been a fan. Just because I kind of see I see some of myself in you. I see that kind of, you got that dog in you.
Yeah, for sure.
You got that work ethic. I think you like to hurt yourself in training. I think that's such an important quality in triathlon. And I think as a fan of the sport, when I see someone who's just down to put their head in, into the ground and just work hard like that. Yeah, I like that a lot. I have also been observing your career and wanting you to succeed. And, you've had a couple coaches along the time. Like, I feel like you always kind of revert back to that self-coaching. What is it about the self-coaching that you like?
Yeah, so like I said, I started self-coaching at 14 years old. And I think when you do something on your own and it goes bad, then obviously you're going to look for other avenues of success or guidance. And I guess a good problem and a bad problem. The problem is I was doing really well by myself. So then you kind of get cocky or get like this self-belief, and it's like your own little science project. Like, I've had my own little science project of myself since I've been 14, and, coach myself I ran 14:30 for the 5K at 18 years old and 4:10 in the mile. Like, I did all that from the age of 14 to 18 all by myself, and massive student of the sport, like always on Let Run, always on YouTube videos, always listening to podcasts, just reading Jack Daniels books, just all this stuff, but loving it. And then I went to college for 3 years. I ran track, and I ran under Chris Solinsky, who's arguably one of the best American distance runners of all time. And so I learned a lot under him for 3 years. But I think in triathlon, I just kind of revert to self-coaching because, one, triathlon's really expensive. Triathlon coaches are really expensive, and I'm very money-driven, money-oriented, and having to pay someone hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars a month after prize money percentages and all that to, like, I don't know if they're helping me that much, like X amount of dollars per year. So it's like in my head, I'm just like, I don't know if that's worth it, like a return on my investment if I have to pay someone $800 a month and I'm getting 1% better, like. And then also, I'm a very social person. I love training with you. I love training with Lionel, Sam, like all these other great athletes, and just I love doing group rides. I love just going to master swims. It's personally, I don't think it's rocket science. I think you need to work hard, and you need to recover, you need to eat, you need to do all these things. But if I have a coach telling me, hey, I want you to do 6 by 10 minutes today, but Justin's doing 6 by 9 minutes, like, dude, it's the same thing, bro. Like, I'm just going to go do what Justin does, or do what Magnus Ditliff's doing. I'm going to ride with him late. Like, I'm just going to do what other people do. And also too, like, when I was trying the coaching thing earlier this year, I just kind of dread it sometimes because I'm a very intuitive person, I think is the right word. Like, if I don't feel like, if I'm tired and I don't feel like doing a bike workout, I'm just going to ride easy. I am not like, man, if I rode on the schedule, I have to do it. I'm just going to ride easy. And so it's like a coach sometimes, it's like, you're kind of scared. And then I'm dreading these workouts. And that was my biggest thing, I think, the last few months is nothing against the coaches I've ever worked with. I just have so much fun doing this. And then I look on the schedule and it's like, I have to do a workout. And then I'm like, then I'm not having fun. And then it's hard.
For sure. Yeah, it's not, having a coach it's an interesting one, right? Like, I think sometimes you get people who are just like a free bird or a free spirit, and you just kind of need that outlet. And I think about that all the time. I think endurance sports, for me, I've always looked at it as kind of a creative experience and kind of like my outlet and my art. And I think sometimes when you pigeonhole an athlete, you can't let them fly. And I think for someone like you, I see it and I think it's working, right? Like, I think if you're not getting the results, then you maybe have to sit there and say, okay, what do I need to do? Maybe I need to hire a coach. Maybe I need to hire an advisor. And you kind of bump up against that in the sense of sometimes you get a result, but you think you can do more.
Yeah. And sometimes like I've had a first class ticket to watching like one of the best triathletes in the world, Lionel Sanders. And he's been self-coached for 10 years. And he had, he's the winningest 70.3 athlete of all time. Second at World Champs twice, like amazing athlete, probably the biggest brand in our sport. But now he's 36 and now he's gotten a coach. So like maybe one day, like I'll wake up and I'm like, all right, I need structure. I need a coach. And he did that. He did that last year. He woke up and he's like, all right, I need a coach. but it worked for him for a long time. So maybe I'll get there eventually, but I'm not there right now.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it because me and Trevor are training together quite a lot.
So it's great.
Yeah, and I think we're good training partners in the sense of, you know, we maybe balance each other out a bit. Like,
sure.
Yeah, I can help you in the swim. I feel like biking, we can do quite a bit together, and then you probably have the edge on me on the run. So, you know, once you get your full health, I'm looking forward to doing some sessions together. And I'm self-coaching right now as well, so it allows us to be super flexible and kind of introduce that social element. I do want to ask more about the Lionel situation.
Yeah.
I'm curious to learn more about that. I think I've also had the fortune of having a mentor or mentors throughout my time in triathlon. I mean, I've been a pro for 11 years. This is my 11th pro season. And I had a really long stretch there where I was coached by Julie Dibbins, who you know, who helped you for a little bit. And Tim O'Donnell was coached by Julie Dibbins for a decent amount of that stretch. And he had the majority of his best results second in Kona under her. And so I spent hours and hours and hours with Tim, similar to what I believe you went through with Lionel. So I'm curious to hear a little bit about like what were your main takeaways from training with Lionel? Because a lot of the things that I picked up from Tim weren't necessarily, oh, this is how hard he goes or this is how easy that he goes. It was more about his approach, maybe psychologically, or maybe some of the things he did in recovery, or maybe some of the things that he did with his family or the way he set up his business. Like, I'm curious to hear what were your like 3 main takeaways from being with Lionel?
Yeah, I think I was actually just talking about this is so on the way here. I think honestly one of my biggest takeaways, probably the biggest takeaway I got from Lionel is like self-branding. And like I learned a lot training wise, but I think the first one would be the importance of social media and how you make yourself valuable to sponsors. Like he does it better than anybody, right? So learning the importance of, like, he talked to me a lot, like he knows a lot about like the YouTube algorithm and what works and what doesn't work, and just how to provide value to sponsors. So I learned a lot of that. And then Lionel's a very funny guy and a fun guy to hang out with. But when he's in training, I guess the second thing, he's very intense and very focused. Like sometimes my friend Ben, he would train with us as well, and me and Ben are like joking around on the pool wall, like between sets, and Lionel is just locked in, and I'm just like, oh my Lord.
Yeah.
And so he brings an intensity, which is great. Like Lionel, I remember it was one of the first workouts we ever did. We were doing like a 2x5 mile tempo or something. And, I'm like a week into running with Lionel, my idol, like, my superhero, and I'm like talking to him on the tempo. Like we're running 320K, 520 a mile, and I'm just chatting it up. I'm like, how you feeling? How are you doing? And he's kind of talking a little bit back and forth, and he tells me after, he's like, why are you flexing on me? And I'm like, what? He's like, you're talking to me while we're running. He's like, you're flexing on me. You're trying to show how easy this is. And I'm like, no, dude, I promise, not at all. It's like, he's the kind of guy, like, he doesn't talk during the warm up. Like when we show up to the trail, it is locked in for 90 minutes. Afterwards, it's all good.
Sure.
But I think that's an important thing of like, but he unplugs great. I think that's an important thing I learned as well, of just like, when I go to practice, I want to be locked in. I want to be focused on my job. It's a job. I want to be focused on my job and execute it to the best of my ability. And I think third, I don't really know. Like, I learned so much, but I can't really say a third. I mean, he really is smart. Like, he helped me. He coached me a little bit last year. He's a massive student of the sport. He uses all kinds of metrics: heart rate, lactate, RPE, and I guess that's maybe the third. Like, he uses every sort of metric. Like, maybe he doesn't believe in the lactate that given month or whatever, but he still records it, and he logs everything. And I've really been trying to do that. Is because sometimes I'll just go a month and train, and I don't know what I've done because I just train, but he logs everything nuts. He has logs from 10 years ago. So he just goes back of like, oh, how did I get second in Kona? And he knows everything he's done. So I think that's really good. Yeah.
I mean, the best predictor of, upcoming or current performance is what you've done in the past, particularly for an athlete with such success. And yeah, that's really cool to hear. And it's good that you're doing that now. I think I have been very similar in that way. I think with all the coaches that I've had, I've always kept like pretty detailed notes and logs about what I've done. I have Garmin. I've also been a nerd about triathlon. And I think like we're similar in that way, where we're focused on things like aerodynamics and power and, race speed and this and that. I think I got my first Garmin in 2009.
Wow.
Yeah. Garmin running watch. And so
you
like
have all the data.
I've got everything.
Wow.
And yeah, I've just been obsessed with Strava and stuff. So it's amazing. It's really fun now in today's day and age to have all that data and to be able to kind of analyze it. I think it is a weird world that we're in right now. I've been thinking about this quite a lot. I was thinking about it on my run this morning, where there's so much at your fingertips, whether it's lactate, heart rate, power. You know, you've got things like RPE, but now you've got all of these sensors on you. You've got core data, and you've got sweat analysis going on in real time. And maybe it's because I've been in the sport for 11 years, but I'm interested in hearing your perspective a little bit on just the element and the need to just simply sometimes shut that stuff off and work hard.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this a few times on training, and I think I love Rocky movies. I was raised on Rocky movies, and I see myself as like such blue collar. Like I'm gonna live in a basement and outwork everybody. Kind of like Rocky, right? Like in Rocky 4 when he's training and like the Russians using all the science stuff. Like I want to be Rocky of like just training by feel and hard work. And I don't know, maybe that's because I've come to the bike very well, so I don't like stress about it a lot, if that makes sense. Like what am I trying to say? I do go a lot on feel, but I think it's also like I'm really young. This is a new stimulus for me. This is only I'm starting my 3rd season. So it's like so fresh, right? I'm in the honeymoon phase still. Like I love, like, 'cause I was a little burnt out of running a little bit. So the bike and the swim, I really like doing. But I just work a lot on how I feel. I don't use a lot of the lactate, the heart rate. I just like to train. I think that's, like I said, I love it, so I don't stress about it. If that makes sense, it's kind of hard to put into words, but
no, it totally makes sense. I think it's cool to have a record. I feel like it's always good because things are always changing. There's going to be potentially a phase in your career where you're going to want to use something like a heart rate monitor or a lactate monitoring device or whatever. But I think at the end of the day, hard work wins.
Yeah.
That's a popular catchphrase in our community, but it's true. And I think one of your big catchphrases is your all hard work, no talent.
Yeah.
This is a big T Foley hashtag here. And I got to give you a little crap for it, man.
For sure.
I got to give you a little crap because here's, from my perspective, I'm gonna give you my perspective on
people hate when I say that.
The all hard work, no talent, because it took me 41 70.3 starts to win one. That's until crazy. I won 70.3 Oregon in 2022.
Yeah.
So 41 70.3s, which is pretty gnarly. And if I remember correctly, when you came into the sport in 2022, we raced for the first time at 70.3 Boulder, where I was second.
Yep.
And I think you were 8th.
Yes.
Or 6th.
Something. I was somewhere in the money, low down.
Like 6th or 8th. And I think that's when the T Foley chatter started beginning. And people were like, oh, wow, okay, this kid can run. Mm-hmm. He's having a tough time with the swim, but he can bike his way up. So he's got something, this kid to look out for. Next thing you know, fast forward, we've got 70.3 Augusta, where I raced you for the 2nd time, and T Foley beat me. He was 2nd, I was 3rd. Mm-hmm. I remember you catching me on the bike. I think we came into T2 together, and then you and Jason West took off. Jason West won. You guys both ran like 109 something.
Yeah, he ran 107. I ran 108. That was the fastest, hardest run of my life.
And I ran like 111 high. Yeah. And I was 4 minutes back.
Yeah, it was nuts. It was nuts.
Which is crazy. But yeah, I was like, okay, this kid's going to be legit. And then probably 4 weeks later, we raced for the 3rd time at 70.3 Waco.
Yeah.
Where you got your first 70.3 win, and I was 2nd. Mm-hmm. So from my perspective, I was like, okay, this kid's good at triathlon straight away. So there's clearly some talent in there. I see you working hard, but we all work hard. We all train a bunch. What was the genesis of the all hard work, no talent? And why does that keep, certainly you recognize there's a certain level of talent that you have. Why do you keep going back to that?
Yeah, I think it just kind of like humbles me. And like, I don't want to, like, yes, I understand I have probably a lot of talent. Like I never biked before in my life. I did a 20-minute power test and it was 370 watts. Like that's pretty dumb. But I just like to stay humble and stay like down to earth, right? Because if you just think you're the most talented person in the world, which I have done in the past, I did in high school. I won my first state title as a sophomore, and then that whole junior season, I thought I was like the crap and got my crap kicked in cross country because I just didn't really run because I thought I was just the alpha. And so I think that's why it's like I just want to make sure I'm always working hard and I'm less like earning my keep, if that makes sense. And also, I think I was obsessed with running for a long time. Like there was a point in college when I was 17, 18 years old to I was like 20 where that's like 900 days, 3 years. And I went less than 10 days of never missing a day of running. Like, and that's probably why I was burnt out, because I would run 2-a-days every day. So that's also too, when I say like no talent, like I ran 114 2 days ago off of literally no running. Yeah, it's probably some talent, but it's also years of 100-mile weeks, 2-a-days every day. Just like a lot. That's the genesis, I guess, of what you're saying. Like, there's been a lot of work and a lot of crying. I remember so many days in college where I just did not, because I ran twice a day, 6 days a week, every day. And that second run, I would just procrastinate all day. And then I think that's how you get burnt out, because it's like you really don't want to do it, and then you go do an 8-mile double run. Yeah. And you're like, wow, this sucks.
Totally.
So yeah, I think if that all makes sense, that's kind of why I go back to that.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. It's, yeah, I mean, look, you're a talented guy, and I think in order to be a professional triathlete and get on 70.3 podiums and Ironman podiums, there's got to be a certain level of talent. I can sit here and say it took 41 70.3s for me to get to win a 70.3, but I've got a lot of talent in me as well, right?
Absolutely.
And I think in order to get to this level, you have to have there's like a barrier to entry. Not everyone can be a professional triathlete.
Totally.
It just doesn't happen overnight. And I think it's a combination of hard work and some level of talent. And we all have a different combination of those two things. And I
think talent, and like, I've heard someone say this, like some good science doctor dude, like talent genetics, it kind of determines how good you get, like how quick, like what's your startup, right? So obviously I have probably pretty good genetics, pretty good talent. So I was able to get good really quickly, but then that kind of goes away. And then if you want to like be the best and then have a long staying career, that's when hard work comes. Does that make sense? So like it happens faster for more different people.
Yeah. And I think the fact of the matter is there's always someone more talented. There's always someone out there working harder.
Yep.
And I think that's what keeps me super stoked on the sport and keeps me showing up every day. And I think that's been a tagline of mine, is just keep showing up, because there's always going to be somewhere out there who's training an extra hour a day, who's doing an extra 50 watts, who's showing up to the pool when they don't want to. And so, yeah, I think we're both cut from the same vein in that regard, where, I think there's like this balance between, believing in yourself, but having the humility to understand that like there's a lot of very talented athletes out there on the start line. I'm curious to hear a little bit more. We've talked a lot about hard work in this podcast. You've told me a little bit about your upbringing and your family. What degree does that impact your work ethic now? Just kind of your family upbringing and kind of like the values that your parents maybe instilled in you or your family.
Yeah. I think it like determines a lot of it. My dad is, I was the first person in my family to go to college. So there's that. And my dad, he's had the same job since he's been 18. He's just like works for Frontier, like installs TVs and internet and stuff, like really hard, laborious job. And I remember as a kid, like he was the only, like my mom didn't work. She was a stay-at-home mom. So he was working like 80 hours a week. Like there was days, like he came home every day, but there were days I just didn't see him because he was like leaving by like 6 something, home by 10. And then you just kind of become like, in your head, like, oh, it's normal. Like people just work all day. Like they don't see the sunlight. They're just like working all day. So I think that becomes like ingrained in my mind of like, oh, if you want to be successful, you got to work hard. And also too, like my parents have always been very supportive of my dreams and journeys, but in a really good way. Like my parents don't really know like my 5K PR, or like they don't know if like a 3:30 70.3 is really fast. Like they don't, it's kind of over their head, but they're just like, oh yeah, like we love that you do triathlon. I love that you run. So it's like they care enough and they're supportive enough, but they're not like that helicopter parent where it's like, oh, you're in 4:11 in high school and not 4:09, so you're bad. Like they don't really know. If I did a 10-mile run at 6-minute pace, they're just like, cool. Like they just don't know. So I think that helped a lot, because if I didn't want to run as a kid, my parents like didn't care, if that made sense. Like they just wanted me to have fun and not on the streets like hanging out with the wrong crowd.
Yeah, I mean that's huge. Like you need that support system, right? And it needs to be the right level of support. And I think again, in order to get to this level, you need support from all angles. And I think, I mean, I turned pro when I was 19 years old, so it's kind of similar to when you got there. And I think triathlon's not the most, it's not the easiest sport to get into. I think you need that support with people around you. Not only, it takes a lot of money to do this. It takes a lot of time away from people. in your life. And so, yeah, it sounds like your support system has set you up to be, really consistent and obviously have the work ethic to continue to get out there. Like, I think another big part that I've understood about you is the role that your fiance Sophie plays in what you do. And my wife is also a professional triathlete, and Sophie's very into endurance sports, and it seems like she plays a huge role in supporting you and supporting your coaching business and doing all that. Like, I'm curious to hear more about kind of your guys' relationship and kind of the ride that you guys have been on together, because I think I think you guys met in college, and it's been a journey, right?
Yeah, actually, we started dating junior year of high school, so a long time. So like end of 2016, and I think the thing that's like different with Soph and I is Soph has like, I've been crazy for a long time with sports, and she's seen me like trying to win high school meets, trying to win college meets, now trying to win professional races. So she's been on like the journey the whole time. So she's known like. I've been training every day since I've been 16, since we've been dating, and she ran at Florida too, so she was a great athlete. But yeah, she's like all in on my triathlon stuff. She was going to go to PA school or like med school or something along those lines, and luckily my triathlon and career has been going well, and we have a great coaching business now. But she deals with a lot of that. Like, I just get to train and eat and sleep a lot. She bikes next to me like all the time when I run. She comes to the pool. She sits on the pool deck for like 2 hours just to time me, like all that kind of stuff, which sometimes if I'm training by myself, like she is my training partner, right? So and that's the other thing, like going back to coaching, maybe I would want to coach if I was solo, or, you know what I mean? But Soph's kind of my coach, because she also knows what works for me. She's been with me for 8 years of this whole career. Like, if I don't go to the pool, she's like, why aren't you going to the pool? Or like, she knows if I do a 8-mile tempo at 5:20 pace, like she knows that's crap. Like, why are you running slow? Stuff like that. So I think she plays a massive role of like manager, coach, cook, wife, like all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So it's game changer.
Honestly, sometimes it's the biggest role that like a partner can play is just being a sounding board.
Yep.
That's so huge. And I think, like, just speaking from my own experience, having my wife be a professional triathlete and kind of be on a parallel journey. And it sounds like, Sophie isn't racing professionally, but she understands it just the same way that, a pro maybe would. You kind of need that level of understanding to support the person at the level that we go to,
for sure,
in order to pursue this. It takes every ounce of your body, mind, spirit.
When she knows too, like when I'm racing or having a bad workout, like when I'm racing, I'm not a nice person. Like, if you mess up the time gap or don't tell me what place I'm in, I'll lose it. And it's not because I'm like I'm just like in the moment. I'm also 3/4 dead. And so she knows that, right? Like, because she ran at the NCAA level, so she knows what it takes, which, like you said, is huge. Yeah.
And you kind of ride that journey together. I know Jeannie and I do. Like, when it's going well, it's going great. Yeah. When it's not going well, it's not going great. You know?
I mean, that's our last 3 months. It was not going good, and I was not a nice person to be around.
Yeah. What do you do, or you guys do, when you're down bad like that?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I mean, to be honest, we just have each other, and we just, I don't know, pick little things to get us out the door, like to get excited. Like, I wasn't able to train for like a month, and we go get coffee or get ice cream, or just like, I don't know, it sounds dumb, but it's like small little things to just like keep you happy. And so we just do stuff like that. Just a little things in life, right?
You got to get a dog. That's our thing. That's easy.
We did, and I guess we did have a dog.
Yeah, that's right.
We had a golden retriever, and she was like our daughter, and we ended up losing her. She had lymphoma, and so I think if we stay in Boulder full time, I think we're gonna get another golden. Yeah, but 100%. Yeah, we haven't had her over a year now, but that was our everything. Like, we love taking her to coffee shops and on walks, and we used to live at the beach, and so we would take her to the beach, and that was massive. And I really do think it's left a little hole, like in our little home.
Yeah, I can only imagine, like, our little dog Millie has become like such a big part of our life and our daily routine, and even just that relief from triathlon, because like, I mean, triathlon it's the training and the lifestyle, it's so all consuming. And the great thing about a dog is, like, they don't know anything. you know?
No, especially Goldens. Like
Yeah.
they're just like happy all the time.
Totally. I give it 6 weeks for Trevor and Sophie. These guys are going to be bringing home, puppy dog here. And
well, we live right next to Golden, Colorado, and apparently there's like a national golden retriever like day where like thousands of Goldens come together or something to have some like party outside. So hey, we might be showing up at that pretty soon.
Yeah, 100%. Well, you know what? We'll help you dog sit. We can trade because I'm convincing Trevor to move to Boulder here.
Yeah,
this is going to be the
Soph
the
came
move.
here and she came here in a few years ago when we were in college with the UF cross country team to train here for like a month during the summer. And ever since then, all I've heard is I want to move to Boulder. And now I've never really been until now. And I'm like, I understand the hype. And now I'm like, oh, like she sent, like I'm sending her pictures of like, hey, let's rent this place. And so I think we might be end up moving here.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's hard to beat this place. I think just you touched on the community aspect and just the social aspect of training. I think, the Boulder scene has kind of been up and down. I think there's been moments when it's been really hot and there's been a lot of people here, and I felt like there was kind of a little bit of a lull in the last couple of years. But I'm trying my personal best to create a community and get swim squads going and get group rides going. Because I'm a social guy too, and I just love triathlon. I just like being around people who like triathlon. So hopefully you and I can get that off the ground.
Absolutely.
I am curious to hear, so you've had a very successful last couple years. You've taken things off and you've done amazing work. I think you're kind of on that precipice of becoming one of those real Ironman, 70.3 guys. I think this year you mentioned it a little bit, just being injured in the last couple months. Your plans were a bit thrown off course with the injury. You had a bike crash in, was it March?
Yeah, end of March.
Okay. So, I think your goals were to participate pretty heavily in this new Ironman Pro Series.
Yeah.
The crash put a little bit of a dent in those plans, but you're back on course now with a third place at Chattanooga, which was a really good series event. What is your 6-month goal? Now looking at it through the lens of coming back from injury, you're getting healthy again, you have a score on the board. What do you want to do for the remainder of the year?
Yeah, I would like to get top 5 in the Ironman Pro Series. I think I got back literally just in time. Like if I was gone for one more week, if I had missed this race, like it would have been really tight. But I think I got back literally in the nick of time. So like you said, I was able to do this Pro Series race, and I'll do 70.3 Boulder. That's the Pro Series race. And then the big ones I'll do Lake Placid, and then I'll do Ironman Frankfurt. So all of those combined, that's a pretty good Pro Series record. And then hopefully in that time qualify for Kona and then go race Kona as well. So that's kind of the next 6-month goal, is still 100% all in on the Ironman Pro Series, but I don't have much time, but I think I got there just in time.
The good news is I really hope that the Ironman Pro Series is something that sticks around for a while.
For sure.
We've seen things come in and out of the sport, especially I have, just having been around for 11 years. You have big sponsors that come in. You have race series that come in and out. And I feel like there's always been a relatively consistent amount of revenue, to be had. I feel like now is probably the best time ever to be a professional triathlete. And so to be able to capitalize upon that is really big. But, the good news for someone like you is you're 24 years old, right? Mm-hmm. And so even if this year isn't exactly what you want, you still have so much time to be able to repivot. And I don't think the Ironman Pro Series is going anywhere. I believe in you for this year, but
Yeah, I don't think so. Have you done a Pro Series race this year?
I did St. George, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like Ironman really cares about it. Like, it's world class, like they're taking it really seriously. Like I actually just emailed them before this podcast, asked for content, like for my YouTube channel. Like I had Instagram pictures like 5 minutes after the race. Like they're doing the call outs, they're doing interviews. Like it seems like they really care about it. And I think it adds value to Ironman's brand, because if you don't have I don't know, it's my opinion, but if you don't have a professional like organization or race, it kind of like devalues the brand. I don't know. It makes it like that much more like special, if that makes sense.
I totally agree. And I think like I believe in Ironman personally. And, Jeannie, my wife, and I have had conversations about, the Pro Series starting up, and you've got things like the T100 popping up as well, sort of rival, race entities. And Ironman has made my career. So like,
I love Ironman. Yeah. I mean, and a lot of people crap on Ironman. And one, you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you. And two, like, I don't know, it's pretty good for me. Like, there's a lot of races for me to do and a lot of money for me to be made. And I mean, if you're nice to them, like, they're nice to you. So it's,
couldn't agree more.
and also too, like, Ironman's an American-based company, so I'm also a little biased. Like, I love all the races in America. Like, I don't want to go over to Europe. It's pain. So yeah, it's great. I mean, I think it's awesome.
Yeah, totally. So that's a 6-month goal. I'm going to be riding a parallel track to you. I think we're going to see each other at hopefully a lot of races here. Definitely Boulder, Lake Placid, Frankfurt, if things go to plan for myself. And I look forward to, I think the biggest thing for us has just been, we've had conversations around, that's awesome because we just get to train together a little bit more. So that's fun. So I've asked you about the 6-month goal. What's the 6-year goal when you're my age? So I'm 30. Yeah. I'm turning 31 in just a couple weeks now. 30 hit me pretty hard. It'll hit you hard when you get there. Sure. What's the goal? Where do you want to be when you're 30 years old, when you're my age?
Yeah, I think I have this like massive plan in my head of what I want to do. I want to build like a massive brand and a massive team. So like an age group team. I want to build a massive age group team, and then I want to build like a massive or a big like semi-pro team as well. I want to coach pros as well. I want to coach guys, trying to win Ironman races. And then eventually I want to, take all that revenue and all that money and build like a training compound kind of. Like I want to have like a track, and I want to have like a pool, and I want to have like this whole centralized place where like all my people can train. And then like be with the same sponsors forever and have like those sponsors sponsor that. Like that's kind of what I want to build. I want to build this big community and team. And it's because I love coaching. Like I've been coaching myself for years, so I love it. And then from an individual standpoint, like my own career, I don't know. I think I can be one of the best top 5, top 10 guys in the world. Can I do that? I don't know. I think I can. So I've 22 was my first year as a pro. I was 40th in the world. Last year was second year, and I was 30th. So maybe I can be 20th in the world this year. It's kind of moving up. Obviously, it gets harder the higher you move up. But just being remotely, like, in the conversation to be one of the best guys in the world. And then, I don't know, if I get a lucky year and it all comes together, be one of the best to be on the podium. So I think that's kind of a 6-year goal.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is just being super consistent.
Yeah.
Like I think you just got to keep, I said it before, you just got to keep showing up year after year. And I think you're starting from such a solid place that if you just get like 1% better and you can avoid injuries and stuff, you're going to be a star. Like that's the track.
Yeah. My baseline was thankfully so much higher than a lot of other people. So like, and that's the other thing too. Like I know what I was doing 2 years ago, and I just got to get a little better, like you said, every year. And like you said, stay healthy. Yeah. And I think I can get pretty close to where I want to be. Yeah.
So, just reviewing some of your results, you've had good success at 70.3. I feel like that distance, having just trained with you a little bit, like it suits you so well. You just got such firepower on the bike, and then you can run so consistently in that kind of 110, sub 110 range. And that is great for 70.3. Yeah. I think like the Ironmans have probably been a little bit of a harder code to crack. With the Ironman series coming up, you're going to have to do 3 Ironmans, whether that happens this year or in upcoming years. It's definitely going to have to be a transition more towards the full. I think initially, at least from my perspective, in my career, ignorance is bliss when it comes to Ironman. Oh, yeah. And when you get kicked in the teeth by an Ironman and you're walking 10 miles at the end, which I've done multiple times, I've also been on the podium of multiple Ironmans. Yeah. When you have those tougher experiences, it becomes tougher, I think, to almost get back to that place. So having had some hard experiences at Ironman, do you still feel like you have enough ignorance in the Ironman to just go in there and keep smashing it? Or do you feel a little bit like, whoa, this thing's really hard?
So I've done 2 Ironmans. My first one I did was 2022 Ironman Texas with Magnus Ditliff and Ben Hoffman. They went 1-2 or whatever. I don't know, not a lot of people know this story, but I think I would have won that race that day. My aero bars fell off my bike, and I like bridged up to the Hoffman group. My aero bars fell off my bike. I biked at like 405 watts for 30 minutes in the middle of an Ironman, holding my aero bars, not being able to drink the whole time, and then pulling over on the side of the road for like 15 minutes. Age grouper stopped. We built my bike again. And then like the whole time, that whole hour I was biking, I couldn't drink anything. So I was bonked from mile 40 of the bike, and then still ran like a 2:48. So I went like 8:16, my first Ironman ever. I was like 22 years old. So I think I know how to do it like decently, because that was a pretty good first one. I got fifth. I was only 7 minutes off of the KQ. So I was like, maybe if that wouldn't have gone as good, but I think I had a pretty good first one, and I'm pretty good at biking. And I think the Ironman is very dictated on the bike. Just because if you can make, I don't know, 300 to 320 watts pretty easy, and you can take your nutrition and you can swim relatively good, I think you can run pretty good. Obviously I could be totally wrong, but I think I have a lot of the, like, I don't know, goods to do good on an Ironman, but we'll see. I mean, I have no idea. But I think I can do decent.
Yeah. I mean, you need to have that belief in an Ironman too, I think.
Sure.
Yeah, a big thing about Ironman, and I've realized this just having done quite a lot of them and being very successful at some and being very unsuccessful at others, it's not really about going very fast.
Yeah.
Ironman is not fast. It's not hard. I think when you get to our level, we train so much that the pace itself is pretty pedestrian for us. It's just a matter of like responding to the race and deciding whether or not you're going to try and win the thing, or you're just going to maybe be a bit more conservative, because I think Ironman rides that razor's edge of, if you just go one step too far, you're so far behind, and it blows up in your face dramatically. So yeah, I think, you can be really savvy and you can be a smart racer, or you can just be someone who just bulldozes through the field and is just stronger than everyone. Those are your two choices for Ironman. So I think you kind of got to decide in your preparation which direction you want to take it. But yeah, I mean, you've just got such an abundance of time. I'm jealous that I'm 6 years ahead of you, and in triathlon age, like double the amount, just having done it for 15 years. But yeah, I mean, it's you just have so much time to figure it out, to succeed, to fail, to learn. Every Ironman, I've never had an Ironman, and this now, because triathlon is hard to have a perfect day, even on your best day.
Yeah,
something's going wrong.
Even a 70.3 is hard.
Totally.
Yeah.
And Ironman is just about problem solving. It's just a constant problem solving equation of you got to be super fit, but very rarely is it the fittest man who wins on the day. It's the man who can be very, very fit and strong and fix all the problems that you encounter.
Yeah, just not die. It's so hard. It's so hard.
Yeah, totally. I am curious. I have one question written down on my notes, because as we alluded to first in the podcast, I asked you about your 3 favorite apps, and Strava was number 1, and they put the little timestamp on there. So
which timestamp?
The timestamp is when you started the session, right? Like what time of day.
Yeah.
And so like, I'm a pretty routine oriented guy. That about me, just having trained. I like to just, I'm up at, 6:30, 7 o'clock. I'm out the door training at 8. I'm done by 5. Jeannie and I are eating dinner at 6, winding down with the dog.
I'm starting my day at 6.
I'm seeing some crazy timestamps on some Foley workouts. What is going on with the 4-hour ride starting at 5 p.m. in the summer, finishing at 9 p.m.? What's going on with that?
Well, first of all, I love golden hour rides.
Yeah.
I love I just love like evening rides. It's great. But I have been like track and field, like professional track and field, NCAA track and field, the championship racing, high level, like Peyton Jordan type time trial racing. It's all at night. Like it's all at 8 to 11 p.m. at night. So like in college, we did workouts at 7 at night. Like that's the norm. Like I ran my 5K PR at like 9:30 at night. Like that's just the norm for running. So I think I just got on that routine of, in college, I would do morning is 10 a.m., like 5 mile shakeout. But then main session was in the evening, because you have to learn how to run fast in the evening. And I don't know, this is just the way pro running works, or elite level running works. So I just kind of got on that schedule. But then also in college as well, for 3 years, I worked full-time job in the summer, part-time job in the school year. And I was a valet driver. There was 2 shifts to work as a valet driver. There's like 6 a.m. to like 1 p.m. or like 1 p.m. to like midnight. And as a valet driver, you're going to make way more money in the PM shift. So I would work like 1 p.m. to midnight, like every day during the summer, and then 3 days a week during the school year. And so I would just work and then run at midnight, from like midnight to 1. And I got on that, I guess, really, I don't know. I say it's a bad schedule, but it works for me. I don't know, whatever. But I just got on that schedule of working in the day, and then training in the evening, and then just sleeping in all day. And I just kind of liked it, and I just got on that routine. And I don't know, in Florida, that's where I'm born and raised. In the summer, or most years, most months of the year, it's 85 degrees in the morning, 100% humidity. In the evening, it's 90 with 70% humidity. Personally, I like 30% less humidity, 5 degrees hotter. And because I hate, like in Florida, you are drenched. Like I raced in Chatty this weekend, and I was wetter on the bike than I was in the swim. Don't even know how it was possible, but I was so wet on the bike because it was 100% humidity.
Yeah.
Me and Jackson both tossed the visors in the at a aid station because we literally couldn't see. Yeah. So I think I just got on that routine of just training in the evening, and I just like sleep. I just sleep in. I start my day very slowly, and like I said, it's just me and Soph. I have no responsibilities. So Sam or Lionel or maybe like you guys have other things or what? You're just busy professionals, right? I just play Xbox in the morning and then just start my day in the evening. So
all right, man. You're not going to catch me at starting at 4 p.m. ride. We're riding tomorrow. We're definitely starting that thing at 8 a.m.
Yeah,
so,
which is good. Like as long as I have people to meet, I'll go as early as you want. It's just like if I'm solo. Yeah. Oh, I'm sleeping until 10. 100%.
Yeah, totally. All right, man. Well, yeah, I appreciate all the answers. We're wrapping things up here in a bit, but I do have some rapid fire finishing questions. So
Sounds
you
good.
down with that?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So some of these are going to be quick ones. Some of them might require a little bit of thought. So I'm going to make sure I've explained them properly. So first one, coffee date or dinner date?
Coffee date, 100%.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Second one, would you rather not earn another dollar in prize money for the rest of your career? You said you're a financially motivated guy, no prize money. Or have $100 million and you never get in the top 10 again?
Wow. I want to win races. So like the other option.
So you got no money.
Yeah, no money. I'm just grinding.
All right, man. No, I respect it because I'm the same. And
I don't know, like, yeah, it's a lot of money, but like, then you're just not good.
I mean, yeah.
Like, I don't know, like, not it's like kind of bad to have your self-worth in like your career. I don't know how, like, some of my self-worth is in triathlon, but like, I want to be good. I want to be an alpha out there. So like, I don't want to be the guy who won the lottery and just like drives a Lambo around. Just that.
I mean, I'll tell you, having done it for a really long time, you look back, what were some of the best days in your career? Well, they were the days that I won or got on the podium. They weren't the days that I extracted the most out of myself and came 17th.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Like it feels good to be at the pointy end of the race.
100%. Feels good to win. I mean, like, look, that's just what it is. All right. You dive into the pool or jump in?
I jump in. I'm not a good swimmer, and especially being here in Boulder, I'm surrounded by a bunch of good swimmers. My dives are terrible, so I'm not gonna make a fool of myself.
All right, that's gonna be Trevor and I's next swim workout is gonna be 10 by 50 from a dive.
Jeez.
And we'll get it on camera for you guys. All right, question number 4: would you rather only ride your bike 100 miles per week, including training? 100 miles is your cap. Or have to ride your bike everywhere, grocery store, airport, ride your bike to Chattanooga for the race?
Yeah, 100 miles a week. But I'm going to be smashing those 100 a week.
That's what I said. Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I feel like, you're just destroying yourself. You got to ride, Boulder to DIA for everyone.
That's brutal.
Yeah, but,
no, I'm with you. E-bike.
Yeah, it's no. I didn't stipulate in this question, but I thought about these questions pretty deeply. You're trying to find the, the cracks in my questions here.
Because I think I could live in Boulder with just an e-bike and be pretty okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, at least this time of the year. I've never really seen snow in my life, so I don't freaking know.
We're gonna see some snow if you hang around here. I'll tell you that. All right, final rapid fire question is: are you working hard or hardly working?
Yesterday, I only swam, so I was hardly working. Today, I'm back to working hard.
All right. It's all hard work, no talent,
all hard work.
All right. Final question for the podcast before we wrap things up for today. When you are done and you look back on this sport and like the legacy that you left, what do you want to leave the sport for people having known you for?
Kind of what I'm trying to build now. I just want to be like the hardest worker in the room. I just want to be like that guy that shows up to a 70.3 that hasn't ran, doesn't care what place he gets, but I'm going to send it and show myself. And now I can't walk because I'm so sore. But I just want to be that guy. I just want to extract everything from myself. And hey, might not have ever won Kona, but he worked really hard.
Love it. Awesome, man.
Cool.
Well, I appreciate you being on the podcast. I feel like this is a really fun first episode.
That's great.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to our long ride tomorrow.
Sounds good. Thanks, man.
All right. Thank you.